Hi, my name's Danny Byrd. I'm a drum and bass producer and DJ, and I'm signed to a record label called Hospital Records. My story into music is pretty much similar to a lot of people's, really. It just kind of um, started out with the interest of the sort of rave scene in the early 90s. Big attraction to that music was the fact that you could make it in bedrooms with a sampler and an Atari ST. Rather than before that, you had to go into a big studio, so that was a big attraction for me. That's how my interest in recording technology um, evolved, and yeah, I just kind of evolved. I think my first sampler was a Akai S3000, so that was like the point where I really started making tunes and put a few white labels out, underground drum and bass, sort of 12 inches and stuff, and then in about 2000, I sent a demo to a label called Hospital, and they got back to me and said, "Yeah, we love your stuff. We want you to do an album." And that was 10 years ago, and I've been with them ever since, really, and it's just evolved through there. I've done 2 albums for them now, working on my third at the moment. I mean, my history of SSL is a lot like everybody's. I mean, for a long time, it's kind of been out of the reach of the Project Studio. It's just the stuff you see in MTV videos, MTV interviews. You see the massive SSL G series, and you think, bloody hell, I'd like to have a go on that. But where they've kind of moved more into the Project Studio market, I think the first thing that I was using was a Duende. Um, and then last year I did um, a thing called producer sessions at the SAE college, and SSL had a stand there, and they had the Matrix there, and I sort of walked in and sort of sheepishly asked, what's this about, and Jim at SSL showed me about the Matrix and all the different routing facilities and the way it was like a dual control surface and a mixer as well. Seemed very interesting, but it was a little bit out of my price range in terms of what I could justify, because I'm very much in the box worker. So when this came along, it's kind of like all the best bits that I liked from the Matrix, but you know, in a smaller package, basically. I mean, when I came across Nucleus, I'd already been using control surfaces for a long time. So I've always been a big advocate of control surfaces. I know some of my other production mates, they're like, you don't need that. You're just using that to press play. You can do that. But I did find it did speed up my workflow. I wasn't a complete control surface nerd where I had everything controlled, but just the actual fact that you had your whole transport there, you can move a fader. It's just your workflow, basically. And what Nucleus did was, I think with the Project Studio, what's happened is stuff's got smaller and smaller, but you've lost certain aspects that you used to have on an analog mixer. So, you'd have a sound card, but it won't have a dedicated monitor control that's literally a volume control. So you end up having a control surface and you having a monitoring control for that, and then you've got another preamp to have your mic plugged in. So basically, Nucleus, when it came along, it condensed all. It killed three birds with one stone, really, in a sort of real. It feels really classy as well when you see it. It feels a lot more of a studio too. It's got that. It has got that SSL feel. Um, the features that I really like, that are new to what the previous way I've been used to working, are little things like you've got meter signals for all the channels. So on quite a lot of other control services, they'll just have a little light that'll come on that'll show you a signal. That's kind of useless. You know there's a signal there, but this, you get a whole metering thing, so it looks like a proper desk. Um, the main selling point for me is um, the key commands, the way that you can set up your key commands, because it's basically a USB keyboard. So all the key commands that you set up in Logic, you can have on here, and you can, your favorite key commands can be at a touch of a button. The other big plus point as well is the SSL preamps. So you've got the super analog channels that are from the duality. So you know, I've just been used to recording straight into my sound card, which wasn't a great sound card. It just got the job done. But this, you can definitely tell the difference between the quality and the clarity. So it's nice to have that reassurance that you've got that same quality that you would find in the bigger desks. I've only recorded one set of vocals so far for it, but that was good because that was, you know, a test. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't recorded vocals through this before. It sounded brilliant. The clarity was excellent, and I actually just mixed this track down last week and played it out on Saturday night at a festival called Global Gathering, and it was brilliant because you could hear the clarity in the vocals. You could hear all the words, all the, you know, and that's quite rare usually for drum and bass. Because my friend happened to take a video of it, and I'm watching the video back, and even with that ambient noise off of iPhone, you can hear each lyric, and I think it's definitely a quality that I can tell. It maybe it's just me, but there's a definite clarity that is over what I had before, the sound cards I was using before. My workflow's definitely improved, you know, just for the fact that before my control system before was only 8 faders, now I've got 16. And the fact that it's all in one compact package, you don't have to reach over to control the volume. You've got it right there. You've got your key commands right there. You've got your preamp. You know, you've got your mics plugged in at the back. It's just a lot neater and compact, and that just makes the overall workflow that much quicker. You know, it's funny, you don't think that it makes much difference going up with your mouse and going file save to that. You know, you're talking about a second's difference, but when you're working, that does make all the difference. So yeah, it has speeded it up quite a lot. I think the thing I like about Nucleus best is the actual build of it. You can't describe it until you see it in person. It's a lot bigger than it looks in photos, and it's just the build. You know, the fact you've got solid state logic across there. You know, all these little things. You know, the big transport bar. It feels really reassuring to press play on that rather than the space bar. You know, it's like it's really nice to have big buttons like that. All the key commands that you can set up. You can set up so many. I'm not a big key command man. I have my certain things, but if you want to go into that kind of depth and have everything controlled by this, you can. And yeah, it just feels that much more professional to have something like this in your studio. You know, you walk in. Sometimes I walk past my room and I see it glowing, and I think I want to work on some music. You know, it has that professional feel. Yeah, I've got SSL Gearless now because they came down and showed me this. I'm like, what else can I have? I'm quite interested about getting the X desk and the expander and maybe using that alongside this. Yeah, or maybe a upgrade to a Matrix, but I'm quite happy with this at the moment.